Welcome, everybody, to Come Back to Love with myself, Robin Vogel. We are on Dream Vision 7 Radio. Welcome to those that are new to the show. Welcome to those that have been listening each week. This is the radio show where we explore the journeys of healing, connection, and transformation in love and relationships. I'm your host, Robin Vogel. I'm a love and intimacy coach and the creator of Heal Your Heart. Join me as I share stories, tools, and insights to help you rewrite your love story, whether it's about overcoming heartbreak, unraveling old patterns, or reigniting the spark in your current relationship. Together, we'll explore how love begins within and expands outward to create meaningful, fulfilling connections with others and with yourself. You can tune in to Come Back to Love every Thursday at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision's 7 radio network. Listen online on your mobile device, in your car, or simply ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 radio. In each episode, I welcome incredible guests who bring their unique perspectives and expertise to help us dive into topics like self-compassion, healing childhood wounds, and creating the love we desire and deserve. Today, I'm so excited to bring to you special guest and dear friend, Lisa Campion. Lisa has been a professional psychic for over 20 years and uses a combination of intuition, energy healing, and therapeutic techniques to help you understand yourself at a deeper soul level. Her specialty as a psychic counselor is to work at the level of the soul. Your soul is the most amazing part of you. And for Lisa, it's like unwrapping the most beautiful present ever. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and join us for this heart-centered transformational conversation. Let's explore how you can come back to love, starting with the relationship that matters the most, the one with yourself. I'm so glad you're here, and welcome to the show. Now let's dive in. Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Robin, I'm so happy to be here. It's amazing. Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome. So, we've done a few of these interviews together over the years, and one of the things that I love you to share and I love to hear again and again is your story because there's so few people, I think, out there, maybe there's more than I think, but who say, like, I'm a psychic counselor with such clarity and such like truth about who you are. And I know that this started for you when you were really young. So I would love our listeners
Yeah.
to hear
Oh,
about.
thank you so much, Robin. Yeah. And it's a funny thing because in my bio it says, oh, for 20 years. And I'm like, oh, I better update that because
Yeah,
it's been my whole life and
exactly.
that I've been doing this. And really like I grew up just outside Boston, like you did, right? And um I was born in the 60s, so I was growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I grew up in a super haunted house, one of those big old mama Victorian houses that are so
Oh,
common,
wow.
and it was
Yeah.
just super haunted. And I was born psychic, so I just was my very first memories are like seeing, light beings standing around in my crib and like all this light and glitter and sparkle and they're blowing kisses and it's like amazing. And then my mom opens the door and walks into the room and they all disappear. That's actually my first, very, very, very first memory ever. And
Wow.
I know my whole life, it's just been like that. I've always been able to see, sense, feel energy, like people's auras, spirits, angels, shadow spirits, ghosts, dead people. The dead people, I called them the gray people when I was a kid
The
because they were
gray people.
the
Were
gray
they
people.
gray in complexion?
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
wow.
like kind of like smoke, gray like smoke, you
Huh.
know? So I'd see them in my room and they'd all be sort of this monochromatic color and they were sad. And I knew that if I listened to them, they would feel better. And then sometimes they'd go away. I was like doing ghost therapy in my bed when I was like little, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, I
So
just have to
sad.
clarify for one moment. They're not all sad. Like the ones that you saw were
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. The ones that like they're looking for help, the stuck dead people,
Got
they
it.
often are like needing assistance. And I always say like clearing ghosts is like doing therapy, but they don't keep your office hours or pay your fee,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But when I was little, I didn't know that. I was just like, and I tell my mom, I'm like, oh, the gray people were in my room last night. And she was, my parents were hippies. God bless them. They were like,
Hmm.
thank God they were pretty open to it, but they didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew. My mom was just like, you have, oh, Lisa, you have such a good imagination.
Right. The
And I
gray
was like,
people.
I other great people, my imaginary friends. And I was like, am I like, is it my imagination? And it just sort of set me on a quest, first of all, to understand what was going on. And second of all, to turn it off. I spent the first 20 years of my life trying to figure out how to turn it off. And now I really work with people that are in the same boat, having psychic experiences, going through psychic openings.
Mm,
It's happening a lot in the world right now. Your psychic ability just sort of pops wide open,
mm.
and it can be disorienting. Like if you see somebody standing in your room in the middle of the night, or something shifts in your world, and all of a sudden you're aware and experiencing dimensions, realities that you didn't before. And I had to go through all that alone. There were no books in the library. There was no psychics on TV. There was no internet, right?
Right. Oh my gosh.
So I was just like, whoa. And I feel really passionately about helping other people, understand what they're experiencing in a much easier way than I did.
Wow. Wow. I've heard your story, but now, I'm hearing new details now. Um, so you spent all this time turning it off. Were you actually able to do that for a little bit? Because I know some people do, and then they can't.
Yeah.
Something happens. Like, were you able to, or did you just continue?
It took me a long time, many years to figure out how to turn it off. And now I really can. So, it takes a little work, but if I'm out and about, I'm in Whole Foods buying vegetables, I'm on an airplane traveling somewhere. I don't want, we don't want it on when we're in Costco. That's like a nightmare right there. Right.
Yeah, right.
So we
That's a
can learn
nightmare
how
with the live people.
it's a nightmare for energetically sensitive people.
Yes.
It's just a problem. It's problematic. So I learned really good psychic self-defense and sort of control. My hippie parents took me when I was in high school. First of all, they took me to transcendental meditation when I was 10.
Mm.
So I learned how to meditate at a quite young age. And then they took me to Silva. Remember Silva Mind Control? It used to be called Silva Mind. Now
Yes.
it's called the Silva Method.
Yes.
And I did that through high school in the 70s and 80s. And that's where I learned really how to turn it on and off, how to shift my brain wave states at will into the alpha brainwave, which is how professional psychics do it, you know? So you just learn how to downshift your brain into the right brainwave. Because if you're a professional psychic, you can't, it's not like you can be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make my connection today. Like you waited, a couple months for your appointment, but bummer,
Right.
that's not gonna fly. So I learned it. I don't know. I just was, as difficult as my childhood was in many ways, I feel like I had these things that were such incredible gifts. And learning to meditate when I was little and going to Silva Mind Control. Also, I studied martial arts. I was really, really keen when I was younger, mostly because I just wanted to be a Jedi Knight, which shows you how geeky I am. Really, I was such a geek. I still am really.
Right.
Um, but that really taught me like a lot about energy and like mind body control and discipline. And so I had some things that showed up that really helped. And so yes, the short answer is there. I learned how to turn it off, and I really can now. You know,
Yeah.
so it's an important thing. And important turning it on when you want it on, turning it off when you want it off is really key.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And wow, first of all, your parents, how cool that they brought you to TM so young.
So young.
And the Silva method, yeah. Um, so I mean, these days, with everything going on in the world, you talking about turning it on and turning it off, despite each individual's like level of psychic awareness or capacity that they have in the moment, because I think we all have the capacity
Yeah.
um, to some degree or another. But you're just reminding me, like, so many of my clients these days are like bombarded with information, with energy. They might not know how empathic they are. So there's that piece, and then all the news and everything that's going on in the world, and that psychic self-defense feels so vital. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I wonder like, how is it applicable to those that don't really consider themselves psychic, but are also just feeling so overwhelmed right now?
Well, I think there are a couple things. It's sort of like this interesting cascade of events that happened, and one of them is I think so many more people are becoming psychic. The
Mhm.
new generations that are coming in are more psychic than the last generation. And then the things that we do in our lives, like we do yoga, we meditate, we do Reiki. I always say yoga, Reiki, and meditation are the three gateways. Maybe we do some plant medicine. Maybe we do a retreat, or we've been through things in our lives like the having a near death experience or experiencing the death of someone close to you can pop us open. So more and more people are popping open,
Mhm.
and kind of the acceleration of human consciousness, right, is happening along with that. So
Right.
as we come into more consciousness, theoretically, we'll wait and see if that's really happening. But
Right.
um,
Some of
you
us
know,
for
that's
now.
what they say we're going through, right? So
Right.
that in combination with all the chaos in the world has created like a really interesting conflict or sort of dynamic that I think a lot of people feel very vulnerable to, like you were talking about. And I think if you're sensitive and you're feeling it, doing really good self-care, really good psychic self-defense, and we can do some together. If you want to, like the energy management basics that I can't function without doing, it's like being really embodied, being grounded, being fully present in the moment, like learning how to clear the energy that isn't yours out of your system, and learning how to strengthen the boundary, the protection levels around you, so we can sort of hold up in the world, so we're simultaneously becoming more sensitive while the world is becoming more chaotic. And I think it's essential. Energy management foundations are essential for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
energy hygiene, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Energy hygiene. So few people know about that. I think your first was your first book on energy essentials, or I know
It
you've
was
written
my second book,
several
actually.
now. Okay. Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just signed a contract for my sixth book. Can you
Oh
believe
my
that?
gosh, Lisa.
I know.
Wow.
I think I'm nuts. But the first one was the art of psychic Reiki, and that's the one, that sort of Reiki plus psychic development. My second book is called Energy Healing for Empaths, and that's the one you're talking about. That's the one that's really chock full of energy hygiene techniques, and um, how we can learn as sensitives to really manage our energy, and then our sensitivity becomes our superpower instead of like a curse. It feels like a curse until we learn how to manage it.
Right. Yeah, so just a little note here. You can get that book on all places where you can purchase books these days, right?
Yeah, you
I'm
can. Yeah.
assuming. Yeah, yeah, that's a really, really important one for me. I definitely did not know how sensitive I was as a child, and I just absorbed everything from everybody, and all
Yeah.
the chaos and all the confusion and all the fear and all the anxiety. And it really, like, it impacted me. And I'm guessing I'm sharing because maybe our listeners have had a similar experience, but it impacted me not only emotionally, but it impacted me physically. Like I ended up
Yeah.
with some dis-ease in my body, like in my early 30s. Um,
Mm.
and took me years to figure out like the reason. It was one of those things where the doctors were like, I don't know why this is happening. This is so confusing and strange.
Mm.
And I was shocked. And then probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 years later, which is quite a long time later, to start figuring out like, oh yeah, this is likely because I absorbed everything and my adrenals were like freaking out from all the stress of absorbing everything. And
Yeah, it really can land in your body for
yeah.
sure. But it really hits all the levels of us, like physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And a lot of times we don't know. We don't really can't figure out what to do until it lands in the body. And then we're like, oh shoot, I'm sick. But also, depression, anxiety, addictions are really common for empaths. Is sort of we try to sort of numb our feelings and numb the feelings energy we're picking up from other people until we understand what's really going on. And then it's like a massive, switch gets flipped from feeling very like victimized by and being victimized by our sensitivity to like, wow, really like understanding how somebody feels in their physical body, mental body, emotional body is an incredible gift. It's like the gift of a healer, you know? So it's
Mm,
like a built-in diagnostic machine for us healers, caretakers, sensitive types. We're meant to be of service in the world somehow.
yeah,
And when we understand that, we are like, oh, maybe I'm going to work with animals, or I'm going to work with little kids, or I'm good with plants. you know, elderly people, like we tend to be drawn to working with folks like that, so we can help. And I'm sure that's what you do now is you use your massive empathic abilities to feel what's going on with your clients, with your
sure,
students,
sure.
and the people that you coach,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
but now that you say that, just, the gift to me in this conversation is, oh yeah, I had like addiction stuff as a teenager, and then I had a lot of anxiety, and then it showed up in my body. And then in the
hmm
fourth decade, I was like, okay, what the hell is going on now? And then I
Yeah.
started to figure it out. And I know, like you said, the younger generation is coming in so much more like open, awake, psychic, and I'm hopeful that with people like you and others that have provided this resource that they can actually figure that out much earlier than I did. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
hope so. It's so much more part of the conversation than, you know, it ever has been. And we're talking about it, we're writing about it,
right.
it's part of sort of the cultural conversation now. And when I was a youngster, that wasn't a word it wasn't even a word, but it wasn't even a thing, and there was no way that I could figure. I was just like, I must be crazy. Like, what is wrong with me? You know, until I had this sort of pivotal moment. I was in college. I went to UMass, big giant party school, right? UMass.
Mm,
And I went to a house party, was feeling fine. It's Friday night. And I get in there and I sit next to this guy. He's having a rough day. And he's like crying into his beer and telling me all of his thing. And all of
mm,
a sudden, and I felt like almost like suicidally depressed. I was like, oh my God, I've got to get out. I've got to get out of here. And I started crying and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I was like, I must be crazy. I was having one of those. And I left and I just, I feel like spirit turned my head and I looked through the window and I saw him still on the couch crying into his beer. And then I didn't feel it anymore. And in that moment, I realized it's like,
uh,
oh, it's not me. I'm just getting his stuff. And that was 1982.
wow.
And that really sent me on a quest of like, okay, I've got to I didn't know there was a name for it, but I need to figure out what's going on here.
Mm, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, amazing that you had that awareness again, so young that, you, not you, what was yours, what wasn't yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned sitting with people that are passing, and so that's on my mind since that's something that I have experienced. And um, before we take our first commercial break, I wonder if there's anything to say about that. And I'll just describe that my experience sitting with somebody in the moment of their transition was seeing, which is kind of an interesting word for it because I saw something, but I don't know that it was like, I'm seeing this computer and this microphone here in my phone and my white shirt. But I saw energy in a ball rise up from the body, and I felt and was experiencing this incredible, joyful essence of the person who had just transitioned. And because they were ill for a while, it's like, their life force was sort of slowly not present on the planet as they were navigating the situation in their body. But when the breath stopped in that moment, and I saw this ball of energy, light rise up. And what I felt was like their purest, most joyful like moment ever is what it felt like. And I remember feeling like, oh yeah, I remember this about this person, because their life force and their joy was something I so loved and appreciated. And I felt it like the purest, purest ever. And that was, even though I think that was the first person I was actually with in the moment of passing. You know,
Mm.
I had had experiences of people transitioning, but that was the first one where I was like in the room with the person. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, like,
I mean, it's a really common, profound, it's such a profound moment, to stand in that gateway between life and death that people who don't consider themselves psychic often have intensely powerful experiences. And that experience can be a gateway to a larger vision, that the death, it's called the deathbed visitation, is the most common psychic experience. And I read a Gallup poll once that said like 80% of the people they polled had confessed this having that experience is when we get a visitation from somebody who's passed, you know?
huh,
So I just think when that door between life and death opens, it heightens our own natural psychic ability. And it's such a sacred moment, like you said,
huh. Is that
that
what,
it
go ahead.
and that we just it just kind of amplifies our psychic experiences and often increases them.
Hmm. And is that what you would call that? Is that what it's called, like a deathbed visitation,
The
or would
deathbed visitation is more like if that person had come to visit you after they passed.
I
It's
did
sort of,
have that experience, yeah.
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 But also, witnessing their passing in such a spiritual way, it's sort of part of that experience. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's really the brain can't really conceptualize of how I was feeling
Mm.
their essence in such a powerful, like exaggerated, enthusiastic. I don't even, there's not even a word to describe sort of how enthusiastic it felt.
Hmm.
It was just so, so strong. That's all I
I
can
think
say.
that, they're coming in, um, they're coming back to that. They're
Yeah.
they're coming back to love, Robin.
Mhm. Right.
And then
Yes.
um, and they're sort of dropping the ego part and the pain of the body and all those, the difficulties and the traumas just kind of get left behind and they're back in their pure essence, like you
Yes. Yeah.
said, and you could really feel that.
That's exactly what it felt like. And I was so grateful to like remember it and know that it was still there and feel that sensation, the emotion. Wow, it was really powerful. Thank you for revisiting that with me. We're going to
Thanks for
take a
sharing
quick
it.
commercial break. Yeah, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Come Back to Love on Dream Vision 7. We're here today with Lisa Campion, and this is such a fun, for me, such a fun conversation. I feel like I'm one who's developed some of my psychic capacities. I think there's a lot more actually coming, and I just am in kind of in awe of someone, of you and your capacity and all the gifts that you share with the world, which at this point in your life are very vast. So, like you just said, you're on your sixth book. That's just a
Yeah.
little indication about how prolific you are with your work.
Oh my God, I think I must be nuts. But I I guess I always say I have a sort of love-hate relationship with writing, but I must love it more than I hate it because I keep doing it.
Yes, I think you do. And I'm grateful because everything that you share, honestly, with the world is so valuable. And we can talk more about those at the end because there's so many opportunities to connect with you. But you did mention, these really vital um, self-defense, energetic practices, grounding, etc. And I wonder if we could do some guiding so that people listening can have something to practice these days, especially given like how intense the energy is out there. You were talking earlier, it's like we're evolving, we're getting more psychic, and at the same time, like there's this other consciousness happening, and the dissonance between the two actually is just that dissonance is
Yeah,
can
it's
be
intense.
challenging to deal with
Yeah.
and intense. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think this for me these energy management, this basic hygiene is sort of the foundation of my practice that helps me like live in the world. And it's like as a sensitive, like my empath breakdown was kind of, when I was working, I was a mom, I was a single mom. I was working, 20 clients a week in my private practice. And
Mm.
then when I get home, I'd just be like dead on the couch, non-functional, like exhausted and burned out. And so I sort of had to learn this out of just like, or I felt like I was going to die, like I couldn't function,
Hmm.
and I was having health breakdowns with that as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I gotta get a grip here. I gotta figure out how to be in the world, be comfortable in the world, and then be masterful in the world. And that's really my hope for all sensitive people, is that we can gain mastery. When we gain mastery, we can, be in the life is like with our superpower, instead of feeling so like, well, I just can't get off my couch maybe ever,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
know. I had that same thing happen with me when I was also, raising kids in a similar way and couldn't get off the couch.
Yeah.
It's really intense. I remember one day making them toast for dinner because it was like all I could do that night. It's like toast.
Right.
Because I was toast before I learned, like, okay, I need to do something to like protect myself, keep my energy for myself, keep
Yeah.
replenishing my energy, clear my energy of things coming in with clients, etc. Yeah.
Totally hear that. And I'm definitely at a phase in my life where I think toast is an excellent dinner.
Yeah. As long
Especially
as
if
it
you're
has a
having
little
that.
jam. Or avocado.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But let's try it. Let's do it. Let's do a little bit of this basic, I call it ground clear protect. And we're all gonna feel a lot better after we're done. It just takes a few minutes.
Wonderful. So let's invite the listeners. Some people are on a walk, some people are in their car, some people are listening at
Right.
home.
If you're in
So,
your car, be careful. Like, don't close your eyes, obviously, and try to stay in your body.
yes.
In your car. Don't relax too much. And if you're in a walk, like pull over and stand still for a minute, because it'll be helpful if you're doing that. And if you can sit down, that's awesome. If you can get your feet on the floor, really, really good. And
Mm.
if you're in a situation where you can close your eyes, that's really fantastic. At least not while you're driving. So then I just invite you to just take a deep breath. And the first thing that we do is called centering. Centering is just really recalling our energy. Maybe the center of your being is in your heart, maybe it's in your belly. Sometimes it helps to put your hand on that part of your body. And then with our inhale breath, we just invite all the scattered parts of ourselves back into our own being, feeling it in your heart, feeling it in your belly. And sometimes we can think about cutting cords with what we were doing before this moment, just temporarily. Like everything's going to be there when we're done. But
Wow.
just for this moment, we're creating like a little bubble, a little sanctuary for ourselves. And then we invite in this divine light. It's like a beam of light coming in the top of your head. And you can imagine that's coming from your higher self, from your spirit guides, straight from divine source, whatever you believe in, whatever fits in with your faith traditions. And as it comes in the top of your head, it's going to beam right into your heart like a spotlight. So let's take a moment with an inhale breath to fill our hearts and just kind of congratulate your heart or give your heart some gratitude for still being still being open in the world we live in right now, right? So we send love into our heart, light into our heart, mix in some divine love. And then on the exhale, just release anything in your heart that is feeling heavy. And you can breathe that out your mouth. And then on the next breath, you're going to draw that beautiful beam of light down into your belly. The belly is often where we hold the energy we pick up from other people, especially if you're an empath. So just notice what's happening in your belly on the inhale. You fill it, fill it, fill it with light. On the exhale, we're going to try and release it down your legs and out the bottoms of your feet into the earth. We just ask the earth with a lot of gratitude to compost that. So this is an opportunity to clear yourself from the energy you picked up from other people. And sometimes it even helps to imagine that you're standing under a waterfall of light, that the beam of light turns into a waterfall and it's going down, down, down into the earth like a big shower. And then we're going to draw that beam of light down to our tailbone, sits bones, the bottoms of our feet. And as we come into our tailbone, we really become more grounded, more embodied. Let's take a moment to send your body some extra love, some gratitude, to honor your physical body. and fill it full of this light. And if your body's holding anything that doesn't belong to you, just release it on the exhale. Or maybe some of your own emotions you're ready to let go of. We just let it wash down the drain. And the last step here is we're going to put some protection on. So you can imagine, pretend, visualize that you're inside a bubble. And that bubble is about arm's length out. And really, it's the outside edge of your own energy field. It can be like an eggshell, a crystal ball, whatever image works for you. We're going to direct some of the light we're pulling down to this boundary layer. Just imagine sending that light to fix, repair. If there's any cracks or dents or holes, the light is going to fix it. So that you and everything that's used on the inside and the world's on the outside, and nothing crosses this without your permission. So we set the intention to allow energy that's good for us, that's resonant, supportive energy can pass through. Non-supportive energy stays on the other side, and all energy needs your permission to pass. And just notice how you feel. Notice if you feel different than you did when we started a few minutes ago. And again, any extra energy inside of you, we're going to send down into the earth. We just bless the earth with our leftover positive energy. So we're kind of connecting this divine energy into the earth through us right now. And then just again, feel the bones in your body, feel your tailbone, feel your sits bones, wiggle your fingers and toes a bit. And then when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. You feel
Okay,
better?
I yawned like 4 times. So do you want
Yeah.
to speak to that? Sometimes people think yawning is like, oh, she's tired. She's not listening to me.
It's an energetic release,
Yeah.
yawning, twitching,
Mm.
moving, all of those things can happen when we're letting go of something.
Yeah, I feel like there's another one coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, when we yawn, it's also calming to the vagus nerve. It sort of resets our,
Hmm.
energy field. We come
Yeah.
out of fight or flight.
Hmm.
And that this grounding meditation will do that. It's the thing that I really love is like, if you're in a pickle, just excuse yourself to the
Yeah.
restroom. If you're in the back of Costco, if you're at a party, it doesn't matter where you are, you can always find a restroom. And
Yes.
then do this, what we just did. Wash your hands, in the water and be like, with this water, I'm washing away anything that's not mine.
Hmm.
Reset your field, do what we did, and then you can sort of go out and about into the world again.
Hmm. Yeah, great thing to do before traveling. I know when I get on a plane, I'm
Yeah.
like needing to, yeah,
Really bubble up. Airplanes are hard for me too.
bubble up, turn my light brighter, like raise my vibration.
Mhm.
Yeah, flying, yeah,
It's
that's
my most challenging, which is hard because I really love to travel.
yeah. Same.
But it's really hard, and it's I think harder because of I don't know, the seats get smaller every time I go on an airplane, and your neighbor's sitting in your lap now.
Right.
It's really hard to bubble up. Um, but yeah, and then I think when you get off the plane, halfway through the plane, when you get off the plane, all those things, or whether it's Costco or family, dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, like whatever, all the things.
Yeah.
And as we practice this, it's like a muscle. So as you practice it on a daily basis, we grow stronger inside of our energy field. So we have sort of more resilience to be out and about in the world with a stronger
Mhm.
energy field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. I guess it goes without saying, but just to say it, that these energies that we pick up from other people, from just energies, seen and unseen energies, they just start to kind of and I'd love to hear your thoughts, but it feels like they start to weigh us down. You know, it just gets really heavy, and for me,
Yeah.
also sounds like for you, it's tiring.
Yes. So exhaustion, depression, anxiety, and
Mm.
that there's something that I call empathic overload. And if we think about sensitives as like psychic sponges, then empathic overload is what happens when the sponge is full. And for me, it happens 20 minutes into Costco. And if I don't if I'm not doing my energy management, I'm like crying in the fetal position and I can't remember my name or where I parked my car,
Wow.
you know? So
That's intense.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
intense. And so we could be cranky. Some people get sick or headaches or stomach aches or, it can manifest in all kinds of ways. Like I have to go home and take a nap and that releasing that heaviness. And if you think about like, that if like 50% of the stuff you're feeling isn't even yours,
Yeah.
you know, whether you're feeling it physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, if we could clear that off your plate, then all you have to deal with is your own stuff. And we sort of have a chance. You know what I mean? Like we still have to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't give us sort of the extra burden of having to deal with all the energy, thoughts, feelings, sensations, psychic energy of everybody else.
That are somebody else's. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it when I'm on social media these days. Like, um, I kind of come off a social media session like, whoa, like what happened there, Um, and I
Right.
get that Costco feeling now, oftentimes on the socials. So
Yeah, I get
yeah.
it. And nothing against Costco, but I don't go in there with a ever anymore, like ever, ever. I just
Yeah,
like
no, it's too bad. It's a great place to get stuff, but
it is.
it's just for energetically sensitive people. Any of those big box stores can be challenging.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have their own version. Maybe it's where you work that's challenging, or you know, the the world is full of places that like nobody ever like hotels are also hard for me. To think about all the life that happens in a hotel, good and bad, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot
Yes.
of lifing that happens there. And
Yes.
nobody's ever in there with sage. They clean the sheets, but they're not saging that, clearing the energy out of those places. So when I travel, I carry a space clearing tool
Yeah.
set with me and I clear the room and often the whole hotel, and consider that sort of my community service, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, community service to yourself and others for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a really good point about hotels. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, you have so many gifts, and I'm grateful to be one who's on your website and I mean on your email list and receive, the free offerings, the trainings, the teachings, etc. And it's
Mm.
also beautiful everything I've participated in and just knowing you. And I wonder if you want to share something about that with our audience and a direct way
Yeah,
to contact you as well.
for sure. You have a beautiful gift called managing your sensitivity. That's a free 5-week video class that's just all about all the things we're talking about. And I'm definitely will leave you the link for that. So it's just my love for empaths. I just give it away free because I think it will help. And then if you want to find me, you can find me at my website, lisacampion.com. And I work a lot with, psychics, healers, sensitives, empaths who are learning to understand their gifts. If that's you, then, drop me a line. And I've written a whole bunch of books now, so you can find those on Amazon and all the other booky places. But
Mhm.
I really feel like my mission in life is to help people who are stepping into their or recognizing that they have psychic gifts, intuitive gifts, and empathic gifts because I didn't have that help. So it's a really good day for me to help somebody else who's in
Mm.
that situation.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know you
Yeah.
do that in a variety of ways. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, the best way to find out is to go to your website and see what you're up to next.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. And do you have any retreats coming up in 2025 that you want to mention? Anything that anybody can pop into that's in the works, or maybe you're starting to think about it and they'll be on
I
your websites?
do. I'm going to Costa Rica. So
Ooh,
in November, with my friend Jacob Nordby, we're doing a retreat together that will hit prime time pretty soon. And in May, I'm going to be in Colorado, at the Sacred Awakenings Expo. Robin, this is amazing. I'm Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Michael Beckworth,
I'm
um,
coming.
are all I'm going to be on the same stage as them. And when I saw the lineup, my friend Stephanie asked me to participate, and when I saw the lineup, I had to go breathe into a paper bag for a minute because I was like, what?
Wow,
I know it's totally the A-listers, and
it is.
yeah, and I'm going to be speaking there in May, so pretty
Oh
excited
my
about
gosh.
that.
Can you say the name of it so people can just
It's called Sacred Awakenings and Sacred Awakenings Live.
great.
And it's part of Bruce Lipton's organization.
Love
Um,
him.
yeah, Awakening Humanity. So yeah, you can check it there.
Great. Okay, so people can find that online. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you're going to Costa Rica in November, one of my favorite
Yep.
places.
Mhm.
So yay
You
for
bet.
that. So stay tuned for more information and just getting on your email list.
Yeah,
Everyone
you'll hear
listening
it
will
all.
hear about it. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Lisa, thank you so much. What a pleasure, what a gift. And I'm so grateful that we came to the planet at the same time. I'm so grateful to have you on Come Back to Love Radio. And yeah, just thank you so much. Thank you for having the courage at such a young age to bring your gifts to humanity and the planet. It's
Aw,
massive, and you so
thanks,
deserve
Robin.
to be on that A-list stage. So,
Wow, thank you. And right back at you. And I'm so happy to see you've got this podcast and
yeah.
that you're continuing to find ways to share your beautiful work with the world as well.
Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, everybody. And tune back in Thursdays, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7. Lots of love, everybody. Wow.